My name is Kazuhiko Takeuchi. I'm a president of the Institute for Global Environment Strategies in Japan. I'm very pleased to be invited to this sixth virtual international conference on low carbon Asia and beyond. Today, my talk is on the establishing a Circulating and Ecological Sphere, or CES, for localizing SDGs in the face of COVID-19. CES concept I will explain to you later on. What we have learned from the COVID-19, zoonosis as indicated by COVID-19. The reason behind this zoonosis stems from unsustainable interaction between nature and human activity. It means that people's activities are too close to the habitats of wildlife. And also, this pandemic illustrates the negative impacts of the globalization as the COVID-19 expanded so rapidly to all over the world. And therefore, we need to consider about the post-COVID-19 sustainability by adapting the concept of SDGs and how we could accelerate the progress of SDGs is a key for us to figure out the post-COVID-19 sustainable society. And not only the speed, but also the quality of the development is essential things that we need to further discuss. Achieving high-quality development requires harnessing globalization's positive impacts. We need to maintain the global communication and exchange of ideas and exchange of technologies while trying to establish a society in harmony with nature, with rather decentralized structure and connected with the information technology. And also, we need to make an inclusive approach to integrate the fragmented sectors and also need to include the social inclusion. There are many inappropriate interaction between the nature and people: desertification, agricultural development, urban expansion. These are the basic causes of biodiversity loss and greenhouse gas emission and health risk, and also the local pollution issue like haze. And we need to restore the ecosystem, and we need to mitigate the climate, and also we need to promote the environmental education to meet the challenges. If you look at the global agreements that we are now discussing, there are very important 2030 agenda and sustainable development goals. And also we have the Paris Agreement on climate mitigation and adaptation, and Aichi biodiversity target on biodiversity to be achieved by the end of this year. And we are now starting to discuss on the post-2020 biodiversity framework. And also, we have discussed a very important aspect of disaster risk reduction under the framework of the Sendai framework. And all these are interrelated, and therefore, we need to take an integrated action toward a new sustainable society, while we need to try to implement this agreement on the local scale, and we need to incorporate into the lifestyle innovations. Global communities are calling for transformative change. Antonio Guterres, UN Secretary General, already insisted the importance of transformative change during the high-level political forum held last year in New York. And also, in IPCC or UNFCCC, EPBES or UNCBD, all these discussions are emphasizing the importance of transformative changes. So transformative change is a key to transform our society towards sustainability. But until now, transformative change was not realized. As you can see, the global consensus on climate change action. So we need to utilize the COVID-19 pandemic as a trigger for transformative change. And therefore, COVID-19 issue need to be combined with the establishment of sustainable society. In the year 2018, the government of Japan approved the fifth basic environment plan. And in this basic environment plan, we try to propose the new concept of integrating environmental aspect, economic aspect, as well as the social aspect. So integration is a key for this environment plan. And in order to materialize this basic idea, we proposed the concept of circulating and ecological sphere. This is a hierarchical structure of the circulating and ecological sphere, or in short we call the CES, from the regional scale to the community scale. Try to combine the natural capital with the social capital and human capital in order to establish a decentralized and connected society. And this idea was proposed before the COVID-19 pandemic, but we re-evaluated that this concept is quite fit to the societal images, particularly after the COVID-19 pandemic, how we could recover from this pandemic and how we could establish the sustainable society. This is a layer of the CES, starting from the society in harmony with nature, while considering the safe and secure community based on the ideas of ecosystem-based disaster risk reduction or ecosystem-based adaptation. And we also need to consider how we could establish the resource circulation systems based on the concept of reduce, reuse, and recycle, and need to consider how we could decarbonize our society by introducing renewable energy and improving of the energy savings. And also, we need to consider about the connected society to the global communities by exchange of people, information, and technologies. All these are closely related with the achievement of SDGs. And also, we are emphasizing the importance of technological innovation as well as the innovation of social systems. And also, we, IGES, insisted the importance of lifestyle innovation because the portion of the lifestyle is very, very important in order to, for example, reducing the carbon emissions. And so every people need to consider how they could innovate their lifestyle towards sustainability. And also it is important to consider about the multi-level nested governance. We are not living in the closed society. We are living in the globalized society. So global community need to interact with the national society and also the local society. And all these different stakeholders are connected and causing the multi-level nested governance structure. So this structure needs to be highly addressed in order to realize the society in harmony with nature, particularly after the COVID-19 pandemic. This is an image of the CES on the local scale. We are considering the importance of the interlinkages between the rural areas and the urban areas. So rural areas will provide the various ecosystem services to the urban people, and urban people will provide the money and human resources to the rural areas. So good interaction between the two will contribute to the revitalization of the decentralized and connected local societies, which we call as a localization of SDGs. And this is one example that IGES proposed in Hyogo Prefecture, western part of Japan, which is called Hokusetsu Satoyama CES model in Hyogo Prefecture. Satoyama is a term used for the sustainable relationship between the people and nature in the rural areas. So this is a typically good example of how we could keep the good balance between the wildlife habitat and people's settlement by strengthening of the Satoyama buffer zones in between. And we fully utilize the biological resources and other renewable energy sources for not only the agriculture, but also for the renewable energy development. And we also need to introduce the new transportation system, which is sustainable from the viewpoint of changing of the fuel system transformation. And also, we encourage urban people who contact with the rural people and try to keep establish a good relationship between the two. Now I would like to change the issue to the climate and SDGs, and particularly focuses on the issues in the cities in Asia. We have already discussed about nationally determined contribution in order to reduce the CO2 emissions, and voluntary national reviews to achieve the sustainable development goals. And IGES is trying to localize these two global challenges. One is locally determined contribution, and the other one is voluntary local reviews. And by taking the discussions, we try to disseminate this idea. For example, during the high-level political forum, we encouraged all the member states as well as the local government try to develop these two concepts, LDCs and VLRs, which can accelerate the actions for achieving our global sustainability. This is an example of the carbon emission project in Semarang in Indonesia. Business as usual will increase 4.2 times in 2030. And we try to introduce the countermeasure scenario so that it can be reduced by almost 30% by 2030. And Semarang city could achieve the Indonesian NDC target. So this is one of the examples that how we could adapt to the concept of the voluntary contribution by the cities. And we will take also the co-benefit approach and also low carbon society scenarios. And we estimated the importance of transforming our public transportation system by introducing of a bus transit system and also introducing of the natural gas instead of the oils. This is another example that we can see in the city of Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and how the Malaysia can reduce the CO2 emissions. National target is 45%, but based on our research, Kuala Lumpur city can reduce 70% target by the year 2030. And we proposed 10 low-carbon society actions in Kuala Lumpur, and I would like to highlight the importance of the green building. And Kuala Lumpur City will collaborate with the Tokyo Metropolitan Government, try to introduce the most advanced carbon green building technology. And this can be applied first to the public buildings, and later on to be expanded to other buildings, and so that the green building system can be really implemented in the city of Kuala Lumpur. This is a coalition of a zero carbon city by the year 2050. UNFCCC launched the Race to Zero campaign for all non-stakeholders, including the city. Already 450 cities joined this race, and within this number, more than 90 cities are from Japan. And Kuala Lumpur City is now ready to join to this zero carbon city, and we are really willing to collaborate with the Kuala Lumpur City to further implement to the achievement of zero carbon city by the year 2050. And also, IGES already contributed to the development of the voluntary local review. First, in 2018, we helped 3 Japanese cities to report the voluntary local review to the high-level political forum. Shimokawa Town and Toyama City and Kitakyushu City, they are very different in the size of the population and very different in the issues. For example, Shimokawa Town is based on the forest resources and very limited number of the residents, but they are willing to establish the sustainable city based on the full utilization of the biological resources. And Toyama City is a medium-sized city, introduced the public transportation system, and so that they are trying to reduce the CO2 emission by the transportation, particularly by the private automobiles. And if you look at the Kitakyushu City, it's one of the large city in Kyushu Island. They are trying to develop the environmental infrastructure in collaboration with many other cities in Asia. And they are willing to be an environmental capital in the world. There are many other voluntary local review we can see, not only in Japan, but also in other parts of the world. And we are now very pleased to establish an online platform to exchange our views among the different municipalities, cities, and local communities. This year, IGES prepared for the high-level political forum. This high-level political forum was virtually organized, and we contributed in the various events, including the various side events. And we proposed the importance of voluntary local reviews, which will contribute to the SDGs, particularly the decade of action. This is a slide showing the linkage between the voluntary national reviews and the voluntary local reviews. Interaction of national and subnational reviews are emphasized more at the high-level political forum. For example, Finland collaborates with the city of Helsinki and Turku. This is a good example of the case as I mentioned. And voluntary local review is considered to be a process of enhancing of SDGs localization, as I already explained by taking an example of the CES concept. And I also emphasize that the local stakeholder engagement is very important by inviting of different stakeholders of different levels. And also, overarching publications framework on voluntary local reviews, we have developing the guidelines of voluntary local reviews, and we already published the report, and we put on our website. So if you are interested, please visit our website. And also, we are trying to expand this idea not only in the developed countries, but also in the developing countries, including countries in Africa and Latin America, and also in East Asia and Southeast Asia. But unfortunately, Asia is slightly behind the progress, and therefore, throughout this conference, I encourage you, the Asian partners, to further promote the ideas of voluntary national reviews and voluntary local reviews in conjunction with contribution to the climate change as well as to the biodiversity discussions. This is a result of what I proposed during the high-level political forum held virtually on 25th of June this year. I emphasized the importance of integrating various UN initiatives like UNFCCC, Sendai Framework, and CBD. And also, I emphasized the importance of GEO, Global Environmental Outlook, which include the various issues. And so, my idea is that GEO could play a very important role for scientifically discuss the achievement of SDGs as well as the climate change and biodiversity. And also, we need to create a strong linkage between the assessment reports such as EPBES and IPCC. And IGES contributed also to the 25 air pollution solutions published by UNEP. The important thing is that we need to consider about the co-benefit of improving the air quality as well as the mitigating of the climate change by reducing of CO2 emissions. So win-win approach needs to be taken. And also we are now supporting the Ministry of the Environment of Government of Japan to establish an online platform on COVID recoveries in September this year. And we will organize the International Forum on Sustainable Asia and the Pacific. We will organize, at this moment, we would like to try to combine the physical meeting with a virtual meeting, which will be the very good mixes in the very near future. And we will also support the idea of organizing the third Climate and SDGs Synergy Conference, which was held already twice. Once in Copenhagen, the other one is virtually organized. And hopefully we could organize the next meeting physically, combining with the virtual participation in Japan sometime next year. And this is my last time, what I explained during the high-level political forum this year. I attended a theme of high-level political forum 2020, accelerated action and transformative pathways, realizing the decade of action. And I attended this meeting virtually in the afternoon in New York, but in Japan in the midnight. And I proposed the importance of promoting the Satoyama Initiative, which will promote the nature-based solutions. And we are now discussing with the CBD Secretariat to try to continue this initiative or even strengthen this initiative. And also I emphasize the importance of CES, Circulating and Ecological Sphere, as an important instrument to integrate rather fragmented activities and contribute to the decarbonization as well as the establishment of circular economy. And this concept also will contribute to the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction as well as the post-2020 biodiversity framework. And many people are now discussing about how we could build back better, but I would like to emphasize it is also important to move forward together. Thank you very much for listening.